Good morning. Thank you for your patience while we're getting the call started. Wrapping up a few things on our end. So just bear with us for a moment and then we will get everything rocking and rolling. Here's what I want to do today. I want to do something a little bit different. I want to share with you how I actually bought my first apartment deal. But more importantly, what are the secrets I learned along the way? Um, it's easy for me to sit here and share with you the mechanics, the underwriting, so on and so forth. But I think what's more important to help you more valuable is actually to share with you a lot of the secrets I learned along the way. So look, getting in real estate is hard. And if you failed at real estate investing in the past, I want you to know that it's not your fault. I can tell you for sure, this is the way I was born and raised was go to school, get a job, put your money in a 401k. And I know the big banks, Wall Street, they want you stuck in that game, but we're here, we're different, okay? We want to do real estate investing. We want to create our own destiny. We want to create our own wealth. So if you feel like those banks, those other institutions don't have your best interest in mind, you're probably right. It serves them a lot better if you stay over in the rat race and keep pumping into their machine rather than build your own destiny. But here's what I want you to know. You can absolutely do this. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of guidance. When you find the right person to help guide you, then everything can change. And so that's why we're here today is I want to help you understand how you can unlock freedom through apartment investing. Okay. So my goal for this presentation is really to help a couple different types of people here. So some of you are completely new to real estate investing and maybe you're just getting started. Okay. And others of you are a little bit further along. You've tried a few other things. Maybe you've had some success, but at the end of the day, I think all of us come to this realization that we want to be able to scale. Okay. And then the other thing I want to show you is why multifamily syndications specifically is the safest, most scalable path to your financial freedom. And I want to share with you, just a little bit. I think this is a pretty common journey. And a lot of us, we get into real estate, what we think this is what we need to do. Okay, I'm gonna buy a single family home and I'm gonna flip it. Okay. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll rent it, or maybe I'll do a BRRRR, or maybe what I'll do is I'll buy a house and then I'll buy a duplex, and then I'll buy a fourplex, and I'll just slowly scale up. But what I'm here to tell you is that there's actually a better way to do this. And that's how I got into my first apartment deal. And that's through what we call apartment syndication. Okay. So if you guys are new to me, you've never met me, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I'm a multifamily investor. I'm an entrepreneur, a podcast host, and I'm a business coach. And I help people get into their first apartment deal or help scale up into doing larger apartment deals. But it wasn't always this way. I did not start out this way. Okay. So, just a little bit about me. When I graduated from college, and it took me a long time to get out of college, college was not my strong suit, but I did it. I finally graduated from college. My first job out of college, I was making $40,000 a year. Okay. I had worked really hard to make $40,000 a year. I was actually bartending at the time, and I was making as much money bartending as I was with a college degree. Now, that was a very tough pill for me to swallow, but I thought this is what everybody told me to do. So I'm going to follow that path. And that's what I did. And, but I knew I wanted more money. So about 6 months later, I went and got a different job and I started to thinking, okay, I'll change jobs and I'll make a little bit more money. But then what I learned is even though I was making more money, and I was starting this relationship and but then I had the car, I had the mortgage, I still wanted to travel, and it was really hard to do it on such a tiny budget. So I was like, well, what do I want to do? I want to go out and do real estate investing. And so I wanted to do something that actually be able to replace the money I was making at my job. My ultimate desire was to get financial freedom. And I had this problem where my job, honestly, it just didn't pay me enough to fund the life that I wanted and be able to really saving for my future that I could enjoy. And I looked around and I didn't want to retire like super late in life. It was something that I just didn't want to do. Now, starting a family along the way made me realize how present I needed to be for my family and my wife. And really, all of this was, if I look like deep down inside, I wanted to give my wife and my family the life they deserved, and I didn't want to feel ashamed that I couldn't do it. So I had this very strong desire to go out and change my life. And what happened is I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do single family rentals, just like I mentioned. I want to do single family rentals, but I was like, man, I got to do like 100 deals, like 100 houses in order to like get the income I want. Like that's crazy. It's going to take me forever. And I was like, I don't know if that's for me. So then my wife and I, we bought this house and it was an old fixer upper and we went to flip it. Well, at the same time, my son was about 2.5 or 3, and then my wife was pregnant. So we were living in this house, starting a family, chasing contractors. The whole experience sucked. I was like, I'm not interested in that. So when I sat down, I was like, well, the way to do this is with apartments. But then I was like, I don't have the money to do apartments, so I'm out. Okay, I'm done. I'm not. Obviously I can't do this. I'm too busy. So then I learned about apartment syndication, which is this pretty cool thing. And it was a way to use other people's money. So then I went to find deals that I could go and do this with other people's money. But the problem was I was trying to do all of it alone. Okay. So you can see over here, this was me at one point, corporate America. I was feeling deflated. I sent this picture to my wife. I'm like, this sucks. Okay. I was trying to do it all alone. Then what happened is I started to get partners. I started to work with other people and get the help so that I could actually get where I wanted to be. Now, this is actually the photo from the lobby of Tesoro at 12. It's the first apartment complex that I got into. Okay. So this is me, not a whole lot of time later, actually in a very large apartment complex. And so that's how I was able to get into this apartment deal. So what I had to learn was I had to stop trying to do everything by myself, surround myself with the right people, and do syndications. Okay. And what that led to is being able to align myself with partners. And we've been able to acquire lots of apartment complexes, as you can see on the screen, lots of them very large. Okay. So, look, guys, my story is not unique. Okay. I am nothing special. I didn't do anything real crazy. And so a lot of you might be stuck in your 9 to 5 and you don't have a clear exit strategy. Maybe you've tried some rentals or flips and you're starting to feel burnt out. And you probably all of you want some passive income, but maybe you don't know where to start. All right. So here is this apartment deal that I wanted to tell you about. Okay. How I bought my first apartment deal. So these are photos from the actual apartment complex over here. So this deal, first apartment deal. Now, here's what's important, guys. I never owned an apartment complex before this. My wife and I had bought a couple single family homes. We bought one, sold one, bought one, did that flip, and it like sucked. I'm like, I'm out. So I went from zero to 184 unit property. Okay. From zero to 184 unit property. And I promise you, I'm nothing special. I just learned the things to do along the way to get me there. The purchase price for that property was almost $29 million. Okay. We got a $24 million loan. We raised almost $8 million in capital, and we still own the deal today. For those that invested passively in that syndication where you get people to invest in your deals, the projected return when we underwrote the deal was over 100% return for our investors. The acquisition fee, now this is what my partners and I got on the day we closed the deal. We got $280,000 in our pockets on the day we closed the deal. Okay. At the end of the day, when we go and sell this property, we're probably going to have about, my partners and I are going to have a little over $3 million to split. That's the plan. That is the plan that we put together. Okay. So, guys, what I want to share with you is this is absolutely possible. You guys can do this. You can go from 0 to 100. You can go from 0 to 60. You can go from 0 to 184 like I did. You can do it. So, like I said, I can show you the mechanics. I can show you the underwriting. I can talk to you about how we negotiated with the seller, how we worked with the lender, and had to get an attorney involved. But I don't think that's going to help you out as much as if I share with you the secrets I learned along the way, the mindset shifts that I had to have along the way to make this happen. Because what I'm going to tell you is this can be a very dark and lonely journey, but if you push through to the other side, you can have the things that you want. Okay. So, with that, I want to tell you secret number one. Okay. Secret number one is what I call the syndication shortcut. Okay. Now, I assumed that what I had to do was start small. I assumed that I had to do some single family and maybe scale up, like I said, a duplex, a fourplex, something like that. But I didn't know that you could do a syndication and actually level up very quickly because what I thought was that I couldn't get started apartment investing because I didn't have the money. And that's true. I used to think that like I don't have the money to do this. But syndication is really just a fancy way to say you're using other people's money. So what we did is we learned well, I had to learn how to raise money from other people. But here's what's really cool is I partnered with other people that could also raise a lot of capital. So that was this big mental shift. I went from, you mean I don't have to like do this all on my own and bring all my own capital? I can partner with other people and use other people's money, and I don't even have to use my own money. I was like, wow, like this is amazing. Okay, so apartment investing through syndication really opens that up a lot for you. Okay, so even if you're starting from scratch, it's much easier than you might think. So you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not a salesperson, so I can't raise capital. I used to think the exact same thing, and I remember I went out and I got a coach for raising capital and creating a personal brand. And I told this guy, I'm like, look, dude, I hate coming across as salesy. Like I hate it. I think of this used car salesman person. What I actually learned was there's a shift that you need to make, and that is if people would invest with you in these deals, they actually can make really good returns, better than the stock market, and pay less in taxes on the money on the money they're making. So what you're actually doing is you're presenting them a brand new opportunity they didn't even know about. You actually have the opportunity to change somebody's life for the better when you're raising capital. And once I got that understanding, I became very excited. I was like, yes, I can do that. Like I can go help people change their lives. Okay. So you don't have to come across as salesy at all. Okay. So now what I've done is I've shown you how to completely skip over the smaller deals. You don't have to do single family. You don't have to do rentals. You don't have to do wholesaling. Okay. You don't even have to do the Burr method. All right. If you use the syndication method, you can go after larger deals, work alongside some other people, and raise capital and using other people's money to do this. Okay. That's huge. Secret number one. Okay. Mitchell, I see you got it right there. 100%, right? This is huge. All right. What is secret number two? This one's a little bit deeper, guys, and nobody's probably going to tell you this, but here's the reality. You're just one deal away from changing everything about your life. Just one deal, okay? There's something that happens once you close your first deal. And I want to tell you a little story, okay? So I was doing this for quite a while. I had shifted over into doing syndications and I wanted to become a general partner. And so what I used to do is I would get up at like 5 a.m. every day, right? I had my family, they had to get up, go to preschool and I had my job. I was working corporate America. So I'd get up like every day at 5 a.m. And I would give myself some coffee. I'd come into my office. It was dark outside. I'd watch the sun come up every morning, and I was just sitting there by myself underwriting deals, day after day after day, deal after deal after deal. Okay. And I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. Okay. I was probably doing this for like almost a year. And I hit a breaking point. I was like, man, like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I am stuck. And I actually quit. I sent an email to my mentor and I said, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I couldn't even pick up the phone and call the guy. Like, I felt so bad. So I sent an email. And it's like, I'm done. I quit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I am burnt out. This is not sustainable for me. So about a day later, he replied and he said, if that's what you really want, I'll support it. But is that really what you want for yourself? Okay. Now, in that moment, there's two voices that I heard, okay? And you probably felt this before. There's two voices, okay? And one said, "You're not good enough. You need to quit. You need to just go back to, what everybody's always told you to do." That was what one voice was telling. The other voice was saying, "You know that real success, it's going to require some struggle, and you're going to have to earn it. And if you do, it's going to change your life. You deserve this life. Don't quit. Don't give up." Okay. So what voice do you think I listened to? I listened to the angel over here. Okay. That's what happened. And it was tough. It was hard. It was a dark moment for me, guys. Like, I'm not lying about this. True story. I can pull up the email if you want to see it. I was like, I'm done. Okay. But I had to, but I wanted this so bad, and I couldn't give up on myself. I couldn't give up on my dreams. I couldn't give up on my wife. I couldn't give up on my family. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm doing this. And I just got everything I could. I got it together. And honestly, it was not very long after that. I closed my first deal, and that weight that I had been carrying around, it just disappeared. And I finally felt like I was the person who I'd been working so hard to become. And that's the moment, guys, when I realized that it really just one deal. Okay. That first deal is going to be hard. It's going to be a butt kicker. Nothing is going to come easy, because if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. That's the truth. That's the reality of it. Okay. So, what I want you to take away from this is it's not going to be easy, but if you make up your mind that it's non negotiable and it's going to happen, you will find a way. Okay. You will find a way. How do you go from 0 to 184 units? Is you don't quit. If you don't quit, you can't lose. Okay. So your goal, don't worry about building a giant portfolio. It's overwhelming. Don't worry about buying 10 deals this year. Who cares? Your goal is to get into one deal. Okay. So you're probably thinking to yourself, you may have already thought this. If it hasn't happened by now, it probably never will. Okay. So that's where I was. I was there. I was waking up at every day at 5 a.m., grinding, 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 grinding. Okay. I was banging my head against the wall. I had to do some things different. And I did. I figured out some different things to do. But the reality of it is, if you don't quit, you can't lose. So now, if you're feeling stuck, or at some point you're feeling stuck, it's not because you're not qualified. That's not true. You're stuck because you haven't fully committed. Okay. So that's my, like, probably the biggest lesson I learned in this whole thing is, like, don't quit. And if you can do that, you will succeed. I promise you. Okay. All right. Secret number 3. Okay. Now, here's what happened to me. I remember I joined this apartment investing group, and I thought, cool, I joined this apartment investing group. I'm an apartment investor now, and this is going to be easy. And that also wasn't true. So I remember going to my first event, my first networking event after I joined the group. Okay, so the mentor was there, and we met in his hotel. Or not his hotel. His apartment was a high-rise apartment, and we met down in the lobby. And there was probably, I don't know, like, I felt like there's 200 people. I mean, it was wall to wall. It was bodies everywhere. And it was so loud. You had to talk to everybody. But one of the things I did is I went to all these people and I said, "Hey, what do I need to do to be successful? Like, what are the secrets here to being successful?" And what's interesting about that is, I think if I asked 100 people what I needed to do, I think I got about 100 different answers. Okay. I got a lot of different answers. All right. So what I learned is, after I took all of this, and looking back in time, is there's really like 5 steps that you need to do. Okay. Once you break it down into its simplest steps, then you've got that all figured out. Okay. So you probably have felt like you've been doing a lot of analysis. You've been looking all over the place, and everywhere you turn, you've got a different version of how to be successful in real estate. And what I like to teach, what I like to help people with, what I've got in this in the community, is really the 5 steps that it takes to get into your first deal. Okay. So, like I said, you might be thinking to yourself, there's a lot of noise out there. I don't even know what exactly works. And that's where I was. I was in all of this content. Lots of it was free. I actually got a book, right? A nice big book. But even that was giving me conflicting information. So what I did is I went back and I took and I was like, here's the things that you need to focus on, right? So you need to focus on building a team. You need to focus on defining your criteria. You need to focus on how to underwrite deals. You need to focus on how to raise capital, and then you need to focus on how to close the deal. Very simple, okay? Don't overwhelm yourself. Just do those things, and you've got it, okay? So the truth is, guys, it's there's a lot of noise out there, and it's not. If you've probably been busy, it's really easy to stay busy, and so it's not because you're lacking effort. It's probably because you're lacking a clear path, okay? So if you just take those 5 steps, you implement those, you follow those, it's very just straightforward how you're going to get there. All right. So that's what I wanted to really share with you guys is I know for certainty that you can skip over, just like I did with a very large apartment complex. You don't have to do single family. You don't have to do flipping. You don't have to do BRRRR. Okay. You just need one multifamily deal in the right community to help guide you there. Okay. So I'm saying, like, if you are doing single family flips or wholesaling, you're using a strategy where you have to go hunt, kill, eat, and then you're starving again. You got to go out hunting. Okay. That's how you get paid. When it's you're buying multifamily, you're buying a farm. Okay. Think of it like you're buying this big farm, and when you buy it, there's already stuff to harvest. You get an acquisition fee. Boom. You buy it. I get to eat. Now, when I own this thing, I get to keep eating because I get to harvest off of it the whole time I own it. That's your cash flow. And at the same time, I'm growing my farm bigger. And then when I go to sell it, I get to take a whole bunch of that crop with me and do another deal. Okay. So that's what I love about multifamily investing. Instead of like hunting and killing, you're farming. You've got this beautiful farm that is just giving you all of this fruit, all everything that you work so hard for. Okay. So here's a question I have for you guys. So what if everything I just showed you, right? These secrets, what if I just showed you these and gave you the tools that you needed to help get you into your first apartment deal, right? What would that do for you? And the answer is it would change everything. So here's what I want you to do. Really easy. What I'm offering is for everybody that's on the call, if they're interested, is a one-on-one call. Okay. And what I would do is I would have a chat with you. You tell me where you're at, where you want to be, what you're struggling with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some real candid advice and feedback. And I'm going to say, these are the things you need to be focusing on. Here's what I've got in the free community. And if there's an opportunity for me to do more and help you out more, then I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. Okay. QR code or the link. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to get to some questions. Okay, some comment. If you guys got questions, put them in the chat. But I'm also going to move on to some other questions that we get a lot of times. Okay, so scan this QR code, book a call. It's like an hour of your time. And if 1 hour of your time could change your life, would you do it? The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely. Like I could probably carve out an hour of my time to change my life. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. So would you? Would you carve out a time, 1 hour to potentially change your life? If the answer is yes, book a call. Okay, very, very, very simple. Now I'm gonna move on. If you guys decide you want to book the call, go ahead and. But let's go to some of our other commonly asked questions, and maybe you guys will think of some more. How much money do I need to start? This is a really good question, and when you're doing apartment syndication, you actually don't need a whole lot of money. Especially if you can find the right people to work with. When you find a couple of partners, especially if they're further along than you, they're going to have some money to help with some of those, like the earnest money. So the partners can help you with that. Partners can help you raise capital, but also it's really about you learning how to raise capital yourself. And we got some strategies in there for that. Okay. So you don't need a whole lot of money to get started. And that's what's beautiful about it. I didn't have tons of money when I got started. Next question is, what if I don't know anyone who would invest with me? Chances are you probably do. You just don't know it. And here's what happens. You might think nobody would invest with you, but that's because you're probably not talking about what you're doing. You probably also don't know how to talk about it, so you're uncomfortable talking about it. But if we gave you the right tools so that you could go to someone and actually say, hey, where are you at right now in terms of your goals for retirement? What is that going to look like for you? What's a cash going to look like for you? How quickly are you able to grow your retirement? Okay. Well, what if I could show you this other investment opportunity and I could show you how to make double digit returns? I could show you how to make excellent cash flow. I could show you how to reduce how much you pay in taxes on the money that you're making with your investments. Would you like to learn more? And I guarantee you there will be people in your existing network who will be happy to invest with you. And then once you get a little bit more comfortable with that, you go start up a local meetup group and you just start educating people. The key here is to educate people. And if you do that, then they're way more likely to invest with you because you're bridging the gap for them. What if I mess up and I lose investors' money? That may happen and it sucks. But the key here, guys, is you want to work with people who have done this before. I cannot begin to tell you how valuable it was for me to have partners who did this successfully before me, so that when there were bumps in the road, they could help guide me through this. Okay. Another thing is really important here is just really good investor communication. Okay. So the chances of you losing somebody's money are pretty slim. Could it happen? Perhaps. But once you learn how to do the underwriting and how to mitigate those risks, then a lot of that goes away. Okay. How do I actually find a good deal? That really happens through building relationships. We've got strategies of how to go and find deals. And when you learn how to underwrite a deal, and you have to define what a good deal is, then you know how to clearly define what a good deal is. Okay. Can I really do this without quitting my job? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was working my corporate job, traditional 9 to 5. It was at times, it was way more than that. I would be up giving status reports like 7 a.m. and work till 6 o'clock. Lots of times I was working hard doing that, but it goes back to that commitment. If you're willing to make that commitment, you will find time. Quit watching Netflix, get off of Instagram, prioritize your time. Absolutely, you can do this. Okay. And for me, I was able to do it while working, while starting a family, while being very busy at work, still going and doing, things personal life. So it's very attainable. You don't have to quit your job to do this. What if I've never done sales or raised capital before? No big deal. Got all the strategies for that, like perfect framework. We give you the tools to do that, just like what I was mentioning before. It's a skill set that you can learn, like anything, like riding a bicycle. You didn't know how to do it at one point in time. You fell down a few times, but you figured out how to do it. Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay. Don't let small things like that hold you back from moving forward. Like if that's the one reason why you're not moving forward, then you need to rethink your mindset, because you really have to have more of a ready, fire, aim approach. Okay? You've got to be thinking of it like that. Next question is, how long does it take to close your first deal? That depends on a lot of things. Some things are out of your control. Some things you have control over. Here's what I can tell you is it's more about the commitment to yourself than anything else. Okay. Think of it like going to the gym. Okay. You got this gym membership and you want to get beach body ready. You want to get ready for the summer. You want to have shredded abs. Okay. So you get the gym membership. Does the gym membership mean you're gonna have six-pack abs? Nope, it doesn't. But you get the personal trainer. Does the personal trainer mean you're gonna have six-pack abs? No, it doesn't. Does the greatest equipment at the gym mean you're gonna have six-pack abs? No, that doesn't either. Okay. So what is it that makes the difference if you're gonna be beach body ready or not? It's about you showing up every day. And the more effort you put in and the better diet you have, and when you have the right mindset, you're going to get there faster than somebody who just shows up on the weekends. Okay. So how long does it take to close your first deal? Honestly, that depends on you. Okay. You could do it in probably as little as 3 to 4 months, maybe 6 months. Maybe it takes you 3 to 4 years. Okay. That really is probably more about you than anything. Okay. So that's where you need to lean in and commit. Okay. What if my market is too expensive? Well, guess what? There's a whole lot of markets out there. And when you become part of a community, when you start working with other people, like I live in California. Okay. I've never invested in California. Everything I've ever done is like Midwest, Texas, and some other areas. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm starting to work with people who are I've been working in Dallas, but some people who are in Houston, Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, like lots of these really good areas. So it's about building relationships and building those partnerships. And what you do is you learn to figure out what your superpower is. Like, hey, maybe I'm good at raising capital and underwriting, but I don't live in a good market. But maybe somebody who lives in a good market, they don't have a lot of time to do underwriting, but they can be boots on the ground. Maybe they can do some asset management. And when you take and you combine those roles together, that's where you get real synergies. Okay, guys, that's where the magic happens. And so a lot of this, I didn't, part of the lessons I learned, I don't have it in here, but I was trying to do it alone. Like I spent so much time trying to figure this out on my own and not have partners. And when I shifted and I found the right people to align myself with, that's when everything changed. Okay. So don't worry about if your market's too expensive. There's a lot of markets out there, and it's really about finding people that can help get you into the right market. Or you hop on a plane and you go visit the market. You can do a lot of analysis from very far away. Okay. And then the last one we got is this something I can do with my spouse or my partner? Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't have to, but yeah, absolutely. If you can do that, then you can create this team, this great dynamic. I'm saying this jokingly, but as long as you guys get along and you don't mind spending that much time with each other, then absolutely, yeah, do it. I think that's a great idea. You could definitely do this with your spouse or your partner. So, all right, guys. So those are some of the most frequent questions that we get about multifamily journey, and just jumping over where you're at and letting go of some of those old things and just committing to a proven framework, a proven system that's going to get you where you want to be a lot faster rather than sitting there spinning your wheels for a really long time. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on the call today. Don't forget, okay, if you guys want, I'm opening up my calendar for you guys to book a call. Okay. Book a call. I'm going to help you figure out where you're at. Once again, it's 1 hour. Okay. Can you afford 1 hour to potentially change your life? Absolutely. Hop on a call. I'll see you guys there. And I'll also see you guys in the call next week. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon.